We are
Cool.
now live. So here's what we're doing. We're talking about creating your Facebook ad strategy and using branded domains, boosting results with branded domains, kind of tying them all together. So we have Marcus and Logan, who are experts here from StreetText, that are going to be walking us through everything we need to know with Facebook ads today, really keeping a pretty high level. We might dive deep. And Jennifer is an amazing agent from Raleigh, North Carolina, who has been crushing it, leveraging the StreetText platform. I'm assuming using branded domains, right, Jennifer?
That's right.
All right, cool. So,
Just recently, though. Just recently.
just recently. So when did you start? When did you start the strategy, Marcus?
So good question. So let's pull it way back really quickly. Jennifer Salter has been with us for about 20 months, Jennifer.
Yep.
With StreetText. StreetText is a Facebook lead generation. Made simple. Let's just keep it simple. We're a Facebook lead generation focused company. It's an entire solution from top to bottom. From, we help coach you on how to make it a solution, from automations, email drip, SMS, scripts, strategies, an incredible group around it. But Jennifer has kind of been the face of StreetText because she has now come into, averaging about a deal a month with StreetText. She's been with us for 19 months, did 19 deals. So everybody was like, okay, well, let's figure out what Jennifer's doing so well and then show you how to do the same thing. Right, Jennifer? Would that be simple enough?
Yeah, I think so. The StreetText platform's been a game changer for me, because before that, just like most newer agents, I was primarily a buyer's agent running ragged. And, I needed to get some control over my business and take a hold of the listings. And so with StreetText, I've been able to do that. And it's been really powerful. So now I'm primarily a listing agent. I do, work with buyers, but I don't have to drive myself crazy with it.
That's fantastic. So within 20 months, you were able to shift your focus from mainly buyers, leveraging the StreetText platform to generate listings.
Yeah, and I think there's an ebb and flow. I've heard the trend is not just in North Carolina, but as we all know, right now is very low inventory. It seems like there's a plethora of buyers. So, in the last month or so, I've gone with that flow, and I've turned on my buyer ads in StreetText and played around with that, gotten some leads, and now I'm working and nurturing those. And, we're going to go look at some houses. So you have to work with the market. But yes, usually I'm working, with the sellers, and I love the seller ads that StreetText has offered, actually.
And Jen's definitely not an outlier on that. This is kind of the story that we try to help our agents tell. Is I can't tell you how many of my agents, clients, I guess I'd say, show up and say, well, I'm a new agent, or I'm a buyer's agent. Right. And I'm not here to tell them, okay, well, you're doing it wrong. It's okay. Look what you're trying to accomplish. Let's help you accomplish that. But have you thought of the alternative? And, for me in my own career, I would suggest that I was about an 80-20 guy, 80% sellers to 20% buyers. And my buyer pool took up 80% of my time. Absolutely did. And so how many lifelong renters I showed multiple properties to, yes, they signed my exclusive agreement to get in my car. And I know there's lots of little hurdles I had to put in the way to make sure that I wasn't with time wasters. But, buyers it's a different animal altogether. And so to ramp up the listing side of things, that needs to be where agents get to that want to do this as a lucrative career for a long time. Personally, I loved dealing with buyers, the actual interaction. I relate to my clients emotionally. I quite enjoyed the process. But when you look at the bank account at the end of the year, it's a much nicer avenue to go down to that seller's path. And that's kind of what we try to do, is lower the barriers. What are the issues you're having attracting the kind of clients you're trying to attract? Whether it's buyers or sellers, there's different ways to do that, different messaging you need to use, different ways of testing things. And again, that's where the StreetText platform really comes in, is to say, test. Let's help you test, but also not waste money, right? Because test to me sounds like, oh, that's expensive. And it can be if done incorrectly. And there's way too many companies out there, in my view, telling you, okay, your ads aren't doing well yet. Oh, let's give it another week. Let's push it a little bit further. Maybe it'll work. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again and again. Good ads die on Facebook for no rhyme or reason. It happens. It will always happen. That will never stop. But what's never happened, as far as I've seen in all the years I've done this, I've never seen a bad ad have a poor 24 hours and then suddenly get good. It doesn't happen. So if you're wasting money on Facebook, it's on you. use somebody, you know, a coach to walk beside you, or a community like LCA, like we have at StreetText, that help guide you in the way that you need to be guided, right? It's hard to do this by yourself, and you don't need to. You're solo agents already. Join a team, be with people who know what they're doing as well, and, you know, help that team get better as well as getting better yourself.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good advice. I've never thought of it in that context, but I love it. So if we're talking about creating your Facebook ad strategies at a high level, where do you start? Like, where do people, where do agents, and by the way, if you guys are watching this, type in the chat box, where are you from? What city are you in, right? Let us know where you're here. We have a Q&A box. If any questions you have for these guys, for Jennifer, as we're going through it, please jump in, ask questions. That's why we do these things live, so we can answer your questions and not just have people, you know, talking. We got Bill saying he's in New York City. I love it. Welcome, Bill. All right, cool. So type in the box, tell us where you're from. Go ahead, Marcus or Logan. Where do you want to start if you're taking this from a high level?
Well, I mean, first of all, start where you want to generate leads. So if you're wanting to generate leads on Facebook or social media, you want to, you know, do your research and figure out how to generate leads that way. You know, a lot of people try to do it the hard way, and they wear another, you know, hat that they shouldn't be wearing. And I think ultimately with StreetText, we're, you know, preferred Facebook marketing partner, and you get that designation if you spend millions of dollars with them, right? So you don't have to go out there and be a marketer or an advertiser, because you're busy in relationships and with people. So we make it easier for you. You come on board and you say, hey, I want seller leads. And everybody else can promise everything about seller leads, but at the end of the day, you have to actually be able to measure it. So our funnel, I haven't seen anybody touch a funnel that will give you 60% or more of every click that you generate to become a contact. Mm-hmm. That's unheard of in the industry. And I don't care, like, someone show me that they can do that. I haven't seen someone that's been telling me, and they say, well, you know, I got a 60 or 70 or 80% click to contact ratio. I'm like, okay, so did you do that with 30,000 ads? Seriously, can you do that with 30,000 combined ads and still produce 60% or more? So then it shows you that a funnel will work all across North America. Okay, no, a funnel is really just for anybody that's kind of bringing it down to the level. That's what happens the moment that person clicks on it and start submitting their information. A funnel captures the information. And so what you need to know, which is the most important part of this right now, is that anybody that wants to run seller leads, specifically seller leads on Facebook, they're going to just drop across the board because of the Apple iOS update. Everybody who's running specifically a conversion style. Now, that may not, you may be like, what's conversion? Well, with Facebook, you can run a lead ad, which is their Facebook lead capture form, and that won't affect you, but you can't run seller ads with lead ads. Facebook's not going to allow you to capture addresses anymore with a lead ad. So lead ads are perfect for your listings if you're trying to get buyers attracted to your listings. And it's perfect for you if you're looking for buyer ads, buyers specifically, because what a Facebook lead capture will do is, like, it'll automatically input all their information. Like, so if I'm interested in something, it'll go name, email, and phone number automatically as they click on that ad. And then if they click next, it redirects them right to that place you want them to go, whether it's your listing or that buyer call to action. Sellers, if you're specifically wanting sellers, the first thing you're always asking for is an address. Because realistically, that homeowner wants to know what their home's value is, or what they could sell their home for right now. Especially, everybody knows that the market's crazy everywhere. Multiple offers, like, everybody wants to know, like, what is my home worth right now? Like, is this the time to go somewhere else? Downsize, upsize, move somewhere else, right? Because of COVID right now, everybody's questioning, is this a place where I want to be at home? Do I want to, you know, do some things, change them? A lot of people are doing changes, their office, home offices, making gyms because they can't go to the gym anymore. Okay, squirrel, side thing. But at the end of the day, you have to use a funnel that's going to get you results. So for every dollar you spend with Facebook, StreetText has it down to a science. We'll say, okay, ultimately, we're going to show you what you're looking for. So if you put $10 behind this ad, here's what you need to look for in the first 500 people reached in the first 24 hours. Facebook is literally making you a relevancy score, an algorithm, a determined decision on whether that ad is going to continue, or you need to pause it or shut it off based on who's clicking on it or not clicking on it. right? Because a conversion pixel will find more of the like people. So if you get a homeowner clicking in it with the phone number in the first $10 spent, and it's perfect, and you're like, yes, this is it, you reinforce that by keeping it on. If you're getting people that are outside the area, outside the quote unquote 15-mile minimum radius that we all have to work within because of the Housing Discriminatory Act, you have to reinforce it by saying, no, Facebook, this is not what I want. Or if you get, because of the Housing Discriminatory Act, it levels a playing field for everybody. So you could get a friend or a realtor or somebody clicking on it and it's not who you want. You're like, no, that's not Facebook, pause this. So we teach you these things so you can become fishers of the homes that you want. And then ultimately, then it comes down to understanding with this new Apple iOS update, everybody who's running a conversion ad like this is going to drop. Ad will pause and stop. StreetText, because again, we're an exclusive Facebook marketing partner, already has you set up for the win. And if anything, as that all drops and people start migrating to traffic posts or page posts or, you know, all the other ad options, which in my mind suck, you're not going to be getting, you know, these type of ratios and this type of cost per lead, you will have your own custom URL. So I'll show you a picture of this because this is what Jennifer has done. And I'm going to share my screen. So if you look at this ad, in the past, this ad had StreetText down here. StreetText on the actual ad image. It's saying, what's your home really worth? Enter your address to receive your home value. There was a little StreetText domain down there because it was basically your privacy policy URL. You had to redirect it. But what Jennifer did and what StreetText offers now is you register your own custom domain. So now it's saying Jennifer-sells-homes.com, and she registered that. And the beauty behind that is if someone clicks on that ad and they go into the landing page to start submitting their address, Jennifer-sells-homes.com. There's nothing on there that says StreetText. It's all her brand now. And in that in itself, it's going to be a game changer because everybody else is going to like go down and struggle to figure out what to do to get it up again. Jennifer's already got it registered, ready to go. And so if anything, I expect more leads to be coming in because everybody will, no one will be able to react in that way. Plus, it'll all be her own custom domain. So she can now share that in her email signature. She can share that in her, on her Facebook posts, in her mailers, especially for the address onlys that come in. So I know I'm talking, there's a lot, it's a big picture, but on average, StreetText funnel produces about a $2 address. And so all of a sudden these addresses, these mailers, these address onlys with that custom domain, she can send out in the mail to get them back into the funnel, as well as any organic places in her Facebook groups, in her email signatures, posting from time to time, just letting people know it's complimentary. That's going to go right back into the capture form and allow people to put in their address, their email, their phone number, conditions about their home, details, anything that they need to know. And then there you go, Jennifer begins their relationship with that homeowner.
And I want to take it back just real quick to what Jesse was mentioning as the root of the question was, where do you start? Where should I start? And I think the first question that each and every one of you guys need to ask yourself is, what are you best at? What are you wanting to do? How do you want to spend your days? And if you want to be a listing agent, a buyer's agent, whatever it is, that's great. But do you also want to be a Facebook marketing expert? If so, great. You don't need us. You don't need, I wouldn't say you don't need LabCoatAgents still because you need community, but you don't need, a marketing partner necessarily if you are going to be doing it all in-house and doing it all yourself. Great. That's not what we're saying. But what you need to look at is to, I feel, find a company that is what they do, somebody that you can connect with and you find like-minded individuals. If you come and do a StreetText trial and you're not feeling like your values or the value proposition we're offering is lining up with what you're looking for, that's why we trial it, right? Don't just come in and throw all your money and hope that it works. Absolutely not. You come in and you test. And what you're testing for, again, is knowledge base. Do the people that you're partnering with know what they're talking about? Are they able to help me? Great. Is there a community available that is able to guide me? Because again, I feel that as solo agents and as we are all, locked in our own homes, it would seem, for a lot of the day, it's having that sense of community that it keeps you going, really. And, we just got off our own weekly mastermind where everybody just shares wins. And the idea isn't, oh, rah, StreetText, people are selling homes. No, it's, okay, great. You sold 6 homes last month. Wonderful. How did you do it? What did you do? What ads are you using? And then the community grows, right? So I think that's the one thing that the only constant on Facebook is change. I'll put it that way. And so if you don't have somebody with their fingers on the pulse of Facebook, you better be that person. We have one of our clients, Leon, who, he says it best is, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. Right. So if you don't have an assistant and you don't have a marketing professional, in your team, you need to be that individual. So, I wanted to throw it to you, Jen, and just have you, anything else you wanted to add, but what would you say is your sense of the community at StreetText, and really what you have joined, and obviously you've become a big vocal part of?
Yeah, no, I think first of all, it was great timing, because that is exactly what I have found too. You could spend all day learning how to market something, and you're right, the next day it'll be different. It's not your best use of time, honestly, because you can get sucked in for hours and hours, and that's costing you money that you could be reaching out to your old clients, your prospects, your neighbors. It's not a good use. I didn't realize how much I valued the sense of community, which was a big pull for me with StreetText. I tried all kinds of different advertising agencies, and marketing companies. But what I didn't like is when I had a question, I'm very type A. So if it's midnight and I have a question, I want an answer. Logan's laughing because he knows, because I've texted you or messaged you on Facebook. But anyway, so what I've come to realize is when you call some of these big companies that are there to serve you, you're their clients, you pick up the phone and you're speaking to someone who, number one, doesn't know you, doesn't care if you stay, if you go, has no interest really. The next time you pick up the phone to call, it's someone different. And that's fine, but for me, what I really like about StreetText is not only do they have people on site like Logan, but they have people that are there that can address these tech issues that people have. That it's huge. Facebook is constantly changing, and so are the people at StreetText addressing them, working out kinks, bugs, glitches, updates, whatever. I really like that the funnels that you're given, like you could start StreetText and be successful. My first listing was actually gotten during my free trial. And I know that that's not everyone, but because the funnels that are given through StreetText work, they've been tried, they're true. So your only goal is to be there, to reach out to your leads. But then from there, you have a coach. You have weekly masterminds. You have courses weekly offered by Logan, how to do custom ads and be creative. And then you have a whole community sharing ideas, sharing ways that they've adjusted the great templates already given to us to really make it your own. The system just works. And so now I find that after 2 years, I've had an opportunity to not only take the funnel that's been given to me, but to tweak them and now to add to them. So my campaign with my folks is 9, 10, 12 months long, so that I know that these prospects are constantly getting touches, and that has nothing to do with me reaching out personally. So for me, it's been enormous, because when I have a question, my coach is Marcus. He's always there. I feel like he values me being part of the StreetText family, and I think everyone at StreetText really feels that way as a whole. I mean, I think it's important. And I think it's important that I'm not just the number to someone, and that it works. Because honestly, and I'm not saying StreetText really is better, but really any ad kind of structure can work. But the reasons that they don't are the reasons why StreetText has been so great for me. It's because of the people. It's because I know them. It's someone I trust them to be looking out for me. And it's the community that I've built. I mean, I'm so close with these people at StreetText from all over the country. I have my referral partners built in. I mean, these are people I really trust with, as a friend and with business.
And I'll quickly just say, just on top of that is, I consider myself quite techie. And when this whole iOS change came, I mean, I'm grasping at straws, right? So Marcus, myself, Ira, Troy, we got kind of we're, in a sense, I hate to call it, but we're the more visible ones. We're on the webinars, we're the coaches, great. But what's kind of the iceberg under the water, so to speak, is the rest of the team that don't get the credit. And, you know, again, for somebody like myself to have to, as a solo agent, figure out the iOS update, figure out what the fix is, and figure all that stuff, that's a week of my selling day, or my selling, time. So having a team of people considerably smarter than, myself, Marcus, all, it's all these people behind the scenes, that this is their job. Figure this out and then build a solution for our clients. So somebody like Jen doesn't have to sit there for weeks and figure out what the solution is, implement the solution, have Facebook fix it, make sure it works. It's follow an itemized list, and within an hour, it's done.
That was my question for Jennifer. Was Marcus showed on the screen Jennifer's new, the branded domain, the branded site. How long did that take you to set up when you had to set that up?
So actually, I was the guinea pig in the group. I got to try it out first, which was great. But what's wonderful is we set it up, and I'd say within 15 minutes it was set up, but because I didn't have to do it. So he was telling me what to click, what to do. What I think, and this is what I was going to actually throw to Marcus and Logan, because I'm not sure, but am I also understanding that this update that they're forcing, the iOS update, that it's an extra layer of authentication as well? So what I have found is the ad that I have run since we did this update with my branded domain, I have found that the cost has actually gone down. But more importantly, I've had more engagement, which is really good, because this is a long-term game. With some people come in, they're hot to go, they're ready. But some people, they're shy, they don't say anything, and you have to nurture, right? But what I have found, and there's no concrete numbers, is that I'm getting more engagement. The people who are leaving phone numbers, they're correct phone numbers. The people who are emailing, they really want to know, and they're responding. So I'm wondering if some of that extra level of authentication is promoting people who are legit interested.
It may also be something to do with the fact that Facebook is already starting to flip other accounts off. So people who are using conversion style ads, which really leverage most people, if you don't even understand all the lingo, all the terminology, don't worry. Everybody understands what your tracking pixel is for the most part, that there is a tracking pixel. What it does, right? But the idea is that that's what the conversion style ads that we're talking about, they're what utilize your tracking pixel. That's the learning mechanism. That's what's learning. Every time somebody likes, clicks, shares, comments, Facebook looks at that profile type and goes, okay, people who like the Los Angeles Raiders, this team, this music preference, make this much money. All that stuff gets fed into that and becomes the profile selection. And again, something that's often overlooked, back before the special housing ad category was put into place, not only could you needed to preset your audience demo. You had to say, I'm looking for this kind of individual, this age range, this financial demo. You could choose people based on the religion they followed for whatever reason, right? So you could have done a lot of that stuff, and you almost needed to do a lot of it. Now you can't do any of that, but all that information still exists and is still being used, just not by your choice. It's now done by the first 500 people who view the ad, then the collection of the positive, the likes, the shares, the clicks, the comments. What did they share in common? Well, that's okay. They're mostly this age. They're mostly in this area. They're mostly whatever it is. That's your audience demo moving forward. And that'll that learns, and it adds to it as positive actions happen on your ad. So if you don't have that mechanism in place, you're then running a traffic ad. And the name implies exactly what it does. It drives traffic. So if you have a just listed post or something where it's a retargeting something or other, great. It's information dissemination. Traffic. Let's just pump this out there. You get a much lower cost per click, but the conversion from those clicks that lead into actual leads is considerably lower. It's almost non-existent, right? You'll average 30 cents cost per click, but you'll be paying $15 a lead, right? So what are you trying to accomplish?
And Logan, I think that proves the point too, what you guys have taught us through StreetText about the split testing. So, I just ran a split test. I ran 3 ads. I let Facebook or whoever determine which was the best one. Which was I getting the most quality leads from? Which one was I getting the most complete information from? And then I was able to, after 24 hours, shut the other 2 off. But it's important information because, there are slight variations that I don't need to understand. I just listen to you and you say, run the split test. And so I do, and it works. It works.
And that's the testing, right? We always say test, 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 test. But if I say, hey, run 3 ads at $9 a day, and let's let them go for a week. All of a sudden, maybe none of those 3 ads work. And then I say, okay, well, let's test again. You've just spent hundreds of dollars and you're telling me I'm done testing. This doesn't work. But if you do it the right way, these short little sprints to find the winner, suddenly the testing becomes much more cost effective and considerably more, efficient overall.
Yeah. Let me show someone really quickly how easy it is to set up an ad from StreetText. And for anyone that has an experience that like, oh, I've done ads before, I can do this myself. Jesse, did you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, just while you're showing that, there's been a question in the chat box for a while. So guys, if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A box. Julie was asking earlier, can you provide an example of the landing page that your Facebook ads go to for generating seller leads? I know you briefly showed that, but while you're showing the ads, will you show that landing page also?
Well, so it's just whatever your actual ad image is. So it depends. So in this type of scenario, you can see Jennifer sells homes. If they click on that, it goes right in. And you got to remember, this is being shown on desktop. The majority of your leads are coming in from the phone, right? Hence the Apple iOS update. It's going to be on their iPhones where they're seeing this. So it'd be so small, but the congruency of that imagery is going to be key. But back into these funnels. I mean, so when you're trying to figure out how to run any sort of ads, sometimes you got to, like, the hard part is you have to go to the labyrinth of confusion, which is Facebook itself and the ad manager, figure out, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to run it? What am I going to throw it into the image? Like, what's my text copy going to be? You're struggling just to figure out what's the thing. And then you're like, well, how do I know if it's going to work? But the end of the day, when you look into all these templates that we have, we point you to them. Like, okay, well, why is it that 5,906 active people on this particular ad have given it blank results, average of a $5 email and a $2 address. So you know where your numbers should kind of be on average. Now, as far as actually building it, I can't tell you, like, once you start realizing how easy this is, literally you pick your image. A lot of the time we show you the image options that you should be using, but let's just say in this case, I decided it was an image of the local area. Because these ad images, especially maps, they're so inclusive. If you leverage out the 15-mile minimum radius, you just show that ad image with 15 miles zoomed out a little bit, and not one person who sees this ad would be discriminated against, because everyone's like, oh, I live there, I live there, I live there, I live there, right? They don't, just trust me. I know it's boring, but it works so good. And there's multiple ways to do this. Number 2, you always drop your pin. The first thing you want to understand about the 15 radius is that you gotta ultimately start with where you're targeting. So if you don't know what 15 miles looks like, get very comfortable with that circle, because it's a radius. So you can move this pin wherever you want, but you ultimately start here so you know where Facebook's going to be placing this, and start understanding the concept of a split test is just that we are going to literally drop, like, Facebook's going to drop it some randomized sample in 15 miles. How do you know that that first 500 people reach is representative of your ideal homeowner? You don't until you split the audience to see, hey, Facebook, find me the ideal homeowner. Sometimes you got to throw in multiple split tests, which means multiple audiences to figure it out. So once you've really driven this pin drop, you click done, you lock into this longitude, latitude number. It doesn't matter. All you need to know is it locks you into that 15-mile radius. Make sure image represents that 15 miles. And then you click next. And ultimately, the split test is built in. So I can literally run 5 identical ads, assign the ad budget that I want to them, and deploy. And at that moment, there's going to be up to 5 unique tests going out there, trying to decide, letting Facebook decide randomly who that best audience is. And then we come together. You have a coach, you have a community that comes together 24 hours later and helps you figure out which is the best one, because it's not always the lowest cost lead. Sometimes it's the one with the leads in the areas that you prefer. Because in some cases, obviously, you could get a mobile home park with a ton of leads, and then you're, one lead that's in this $1 million market that you really want. And you're like, I'll gladly pay a couple bucks extra for it. So
And to answer a question, and I know that when Tristan's on these, he's always asking us to give as much gold to people who aren't planning on using our system as well, and that's perfectly fine. And Marcus briefly touched on it at the beginning there, and it's kind of in relation to that question as well as to view of the landing page. I think that one of the biggest mistakes most solo agents make is not focusing on the client journey. Right. So in other words, that continuity, the congruency between the ad they just clicked on and where they've now ended up. And oftentimes people send them the leads directly to their website because they've got a evaluation widget, they've got everything on their website. Great. But then again, consider what image you've used that they've clicked on, because if they clicked on an image of a home and they get to somewhere that doesn't look the same, the branding isn't the same, the colors aren't the same, it just looks completely different. There's this moment of panic. It's, oh, I didn't mean to click on this. Close, select, done. You paid for a click that goes nowhere. And again, what Marcus was saying, I think is so bang on with when you click on an image and you get to that same image, it's, where you've got, you're in the right place, and there's a feeling of comfort, not panic. So regardless of what, images we're using necessarily on the landing page, just know it's always the same as what's on the ad. So even if you're not going to use StreetText, use our information on that. Definitely be sure to mirror your ad and your landing page. Otherwise, your conversion ratio will be considerably lower.
And actually, in addition to what Logan just said, it's understanding what this type of landing page is. Because if you look at this, like the moment someone clicks from their ad into the first landing page and clicks analyze my property, it's moving that image into the background. It's pulling up this capture, and this capture is one thing and one thing only. It's an address. It's not saying, give me your home, give me your address, give me your email, give me your phone number, give me information about your home, your time frame for selling, and everything. And that's where you lose people, is because you're asking for the entire thing up front. In this case, you're going to get a bunch of people that stop here. But guess what? As soon as they stop and the address has been provided, that's yours. It goes right into your dashboard. There's a lot of things. Our mastermind today showcased someone who took that address only and got that appointment. I hear all the time people taking into multi-million-dollar listings if they know what to do with that address. This is where the rubber hits the road, though, because as soon as this is submitted and the email permission is given, that ultimately activates an autoresponder, of which Jennifer has a video from BombBomb sending out to that lead, introducing herself, and it humanizes the process, because your second most consistent amount of information provided after that address is an email. And if you understand the science of email, how to get opens, how to get plays, how to get links clicked on, how to get comments and feedback, oh, power behind it. And so in and of itself, you need to recognize that for some people, emails are like trash. Or like, oh, I don't have their phone number. But for other people, again, it's a treasure. Jennifer teaches how to get 90% opens on that email, especially the one that she sends out regarding their home value. So she's created templates within BombBomb that she can plug in that person's individual home and literally drive that home value customized to them, and really, has a great ask into why they book with her into her calendar. And then obviously they can connect into something like Calendly and do, you need to fix that, Jennifer, because it's not valid. The walkthrough of the home, I think she's probably updated that since then, but you can get this simply. And then as soon as someone clicks on this, watches the video, Jennifer gets a notification. As soon as someone clicks on this link, Jennifer gets notified that someone's clicked on this link. If someone comments back on that email, she gets a notification that someone's commented in that email. And so even if they stop right here in the funnel, boom, she's got that opportunity. And then this is the icing on the cake, because this is where this is the third capture. This is called a micro commitment or a dynamic funnel. It's going to capture some leads that give you only address, leads that provide an email. This one sets the condition of the property, age updates, their actual sell date, which in fact, most people just say just curious because it's a defense mechanism. They don't even know you. They don't know where this is going. It's not really until this part of the funnel do they start recognizing, oh, Jennifer, oh, that she's got a great review here. And then this would activate another component, which is an SMS feature that we have that sends out an automatic text. Again, all customizable. So there's a science behind it. You don't just generate leads without recognizing all these awesome ways to create both smart automations, but really the key on this is your personal follow-up. I mean, I love automations, HomeBots and Calendly and, whatever you use, follow-up. I mean, there's a million things out there, but that should be a byproduct of your personal follow-up. Once you've built and created rapport and created conversation, awesome, have your automations do their thing because there's value there. But if you don't have that personal touch, it doesn't matter how big your team is and how many deals you've done, the personal touch is what gets you opportunities and relationships. Then let your automations. Don't focus on automations and integrations and all these great things if your follow-up isn't working.
And we just got a question I want to answer, and I want to tie it back into, and Jen, I want to get your take after, just kind of on your thoughts of address onlys and stuff, and kind of tie this all in with, the conversation with micro commitments. So we did have a question of, can we explain the actual cost of the lead? Meaning if we, for example, have a $50 budget, you get one lead at a certain cost, yada, yada, yada. So let's take this back to micro commitments. First and foremost, what you're paying for are the clicks, and that is all. So if Facebook has tested your ad and has deemed your ad to be mostly relevant, let's say that they've issued you a $1 cost per click. Okay. So now you've got a $9 daily limit. You could theoretically get 9 clicks in a day before you've reached said limit, at which time Facebook pauses that ad. Great. Now, if none of those clicks resulted in a lead, well, you've paid $9 for nothing, right? Now, if all 9 resulted in leads, great. You got 9 leads for that $9. So that's kind of where the proposition comes into of testing and monitoring and making sure you have somebody to guide you through that. We help you look at your metrics and understand what's working. But again, looking at the micro commitments, that's what's important. You're paying for the click. If somebody clicks on that ad, they leave you name, number, and email, and they want to sell a home tomorrow, you paid for the click. Somebody else clicks on the same ad and leaves you no information, you paid the same amount. So the importance of these micro commitments are 2 things. First, you get something more often than not. Somebody comes there, they leave you an address. If they're not willing to leave you contact details, it is what it is. You at least get that mailing address. The ones that do continue though, consider this. If I've made phone number mandatory, you have to give me your phone number. They're either going to bail, right? If they don't want to give me that phone number, they're just not going to give me their address either. So I pay for nothing, or they're going to leave me fake information. And for me personally, I would rather know information than fake information, because if I have an address only that I know is a legit address only, I'm mailing, maybe I'm door knocking, there's different things I can do. But if I've got a phone number, I might not be doing those steps. I'm calling and getting, whatever I'm getting, I'm emailing the incorrect place. So I want to make sure that the information that they're willing and wanting to leave me is legitimate, first and foremost. But next, the people that leave me an address only, we hear all the time, well, that's useless. I'm not going to, blah, 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 blah. But I've never talked to you about this, Jen, so I'm not sure what your answer is going to be, but I would assume it's going to be, there's gold in those address onlys, but I'll let you answer that and let me know.
Can I go back a second for what you were saying? Because, we're all here today, but honestly, I think it's different perspectives. So, we have Coach Marcus, right? And we have the tech part of StreetText, which I think a lot of people like me, I don't know a lot about, but for all the realtors out there that are debating or thinking about it, here's the thing. Number one, I've tried other companies, and the cost per click, like you were asking about, whoever was asking about it, because we split test, when you shoot off an ad, you can run several of them. You're going to choose the best performing one. So it's going to be your best chance of getting more clicks to contacts, number one. But I also think what you're talking about with these micro commitments, it is key. And I think that one of the things as agents that we do is we want all these leads, but we want them to call us and knock on our door. We forget that from the time that if you look at research, the time that a lead comes to you and you respond with the information they asked for, that is key. And so we're trying to build trust here. And so when someone comes for you and they want to know what their home may be worth on the market, if you were to list their home, your job as a real estate agent is to try to gather that information the best you can without having seen the property, just going off the information and providing it to them. From there, I think you really build trust. And that's why for me personally, the leads that I have gotten from StreetText are more interested in actually working. They're more easily nurtured because of the systems in place and the personal touches I've given. Now, as far as address only leads, see, I was one that's not really a mailer. I don't like to send postcards because I open my mail over the trash. but there is value. And because my business has always been from Facebook, like I just excel working on social media. I have connections. I love it, right? I really do. So what I have found successful for me is, yes, I will send out a mailer, has a QR code, right? So somebody can get right back to the ad if they're interested. And what I do is I tell them in their neighborhood, here's the high and lows, price per square foot. This is how many have sold in the last year. And I send it out. It takes me very little time. I usually print a picture of their home that I find from Google Street View. That way I don't get in trouble. I don't use MLS photos. But something else that I do is, I know it's not available in Canada to do this. I've heard that. But in North Carolina, we have access to tax records. I can find out who owns the property. And this is how I think, because people feel funny about this. I don't. People are reaching these ads on Facebook. So for me, that's their preferred method of contact, right? They've already come to me on Facebook. So what I like to do is I try to find them and friend them on Facebook. I put them in a friend list that they're a local prospect, and then I connect with them on Messenger, and then hopefully if we can be friends, at the very least, we're establishing a rapport. Now they get to see me and who I am as a person. So to me, the biggest benefit of the address only is to make the connection by mail if you'd like. If you don't want to go fancy with postcards, you can do something simple, a handwritten note. Anything. You can get more extensive and go door knock. That's not my thing, but it could be. Ask James Festini. He made his whole career on it, right? So so that's what I do with the address only. I like to connect with them on Facebook.
Yeah, and now with the custom URL, you don't have to even use a QR code. You could still use it, but you have your own custom URL to bring them back into the funnel. So it's a win-win and all. I know, Jesse, we're kind of coming to the end here. So do we want to wrap it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is if you guys have, there really was, regardless of whether people watching this are using StreetText or not, I think there was a lot of nuggets and pieces of advice here that people can take away, which is awesome. So I want to pull it together. Jennifer, if you want to think about, as you started your 19-month journey here, right? 19 months and 19 listings, which is an awesome sentence. I'm just going to repeat over and over again, right? As you started your journey, if there's something you wish you would have learned earlier, why don't you share that? And then for Marcus and Logan, if there's one thing you want to kind of pull this together for a Facebook ad strategy standpoint, we'll leave it with that. We'll wrap it up there. But what would you say, Jennifer, like one thing you wished you learned earlier?
Yeah, I think I would have participated more in the custom ad courses and in the masterminds, making that an absolute must. It took me a month or so to figure that out, but I also think if I learned something right away, it would be to stick with what works. You don't have to keep reinventing things. So I think listening to the funnels that already existed and just going with that. But for people starting out, I would say the biggest thing I see is to follow up with your leads in a timely manner. That's sometimes very difficult.
I love it. And Marcus, how do you want to pull this together for people?
Yeah, I want everybody to understand that Facebook is the top of funnel. And the top of funnel, like I like to use football metaphors, is like you've got the ball on the 1 yard line, you've got 99 yards to get down the field. And so everybody wants the end zone. Zillow is the end zone. Right? Those places are like everybody's fighting for everybody for Facebook or zip code exclusivity, and they're spending lots of money to get it. With Facebook, you get an interruption-based marketing tool. So they literally are clicking on something. They have no idea there's an actual human being on the other side. So it's your job to create that know, like, and trust model. And know, like, and trust is built on contribution. It's built on give first without expecting anything in return. It's a system that if you nurture and create relationships and you do that well, you'll look back a year from now and have similar results to Jennifer, but it's not to where your next deal. Doesn't mean you can't throw a Hail Mary and get a listing appointment this week, right? It happens from time to time, but majority of the time you got to inch your way down that field and create that relationship to get to the end zone. And so that's all I can tell you is you really understand psychology, and the understanding of Facebook marketing is not for where your next deal is. It's for you to build your pipeline so that a year from now, you have a dozen more deals.
I love it. And those of you who are putting questions in now, by the way, because we are wrapping up here, reach out to Marcus, reach out to Logan, reach out to Jennifer. Feel free to ask them questions directly. If you guys want to type an answer in the box real quick, Marcus or Logan, for Lisa or the other person who had a question on budget and mailing home valuation. But this is obviously a discussion we can go a lot deeper into. We will continue discussing it over the next few weeks. This is what they talk about inside the StreetText community. every single day. Like, check out the free trial, right? I think Tessa just dropped the link in there, but if you guys have never checked it out, it's an incredible community with an incredible amount of knowledge being shared daily in there.
And that was really going to be my finishing point was on community. Quickly answer those two questions. Price does not include Facebook budget. Definitely, you're going to want to, your budget is separate from our costs. Consider value stacking when you send mailers. Don't just send another follow-up. Hey, you didn't give me all your information for evaluation. Try it again. Well, give them something additional. What additional offer can you put them on a buyer's list that notifies them of properties that hit the market in their area? Offer them something different above and beyond. Again, more we can serve on that. The next thing is, when you're looking for what company you're going to go with or groups to join, sense of community has to be a top priority in my view. Is you can do this yourself, absolutely, but you're going to be the last to know of everything. And people who are trying to keep cards close to their chest, they have their best process, but they're pretty stuck in their ways. We get people who say, I don't want to share my process. Well, you're not sharing with people within your own brokerage necessarily, or your competition next door. You're sharing with people in different states, different countries, different areas in general. And every time you share something, you help somebody get better, but they have a chance to help you kind of reshape your focus on what you had and you get better. Every single person that joins our community has stuff to learn, but they also have stuff to add. And as a group, we have collective knowledge. That's so powerful. You keep coming to LabCoatAgents, there's collective knowledge. There's something for everybody. So a sense of community needs to be there. Otherwise, you're a solo agent, right?
This is great, guys. Enjoy, everybody. Jennifer, Marcus, Logan, enjoy your day, guys. Thank you so much. This has been such a good webinar. Bye, guys.
Thank you.